Hello and welcome again today. Today we'll be exploring like the special concept on the writing process, whether you're writing a screenplay or you're writing novel or any kind of fictional story. We know that there's a story and the story should have a plot, but the plot is driven by a character. So we'll be exploring the concept of a character arc. What do we mean when we say the character arc? The arc of the character, like the point that makes the character to grow, and how we can define a character arc is the event or situation that changes the character to the better. The change, it can be or inner change, and inner change it should be more dominant change because we like to see the changes that is happening within to the character, inner motivation, outer motivation. What is it that is driving the character to the plot of the story from the act one, act two, and act three. But when we're talking about like a character arc, we start by a character that is very blank, it's one-dimensional character, and when the character with the story is going, they should be driving that story to their goals when they want to achieve, and now they can go by achieving their goals. We can have this character that they start from their ordinary world, and in that world they are very blank. Then they can get a suspense or an inciting incident. This is an incident that it will be calling them to an adventure. It will be calling them to a special world. Or if you know the character kid of Will Smith's kid and Jackie Chan, Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. So we found like Jaden have been a boy that grew up from an American funky lifestyle, and he have to go to China. He went to an environment where kids they are bullying him, and kids that are surrounding him they are more often martial arts kids that grown up in the realm in the world of Karate Kid and all those type. The event, the action that happened, the plot, how it unveiling for him to become a better person. This can be a character from him when he don't have he have an habit of not putting on the jacket, and now he got trained to see the essence of putting a jacket in a form of a training a martial arts or becoming a better karate kid. So what happened? We find him not having a habit. The habit of him is not to wear a jacket. Every day when he came back, his mom always have a hard conversation with him. Oh, please take off your jacket, pick up a jacket and put it on the wardrobe. Put up a jacket every day. Put up a jacket. Then Jackie Chan realized like, oh, this boy have a bad habit of not putting on the jacket. So he taught him martial arts or a karate in the form of wearing a jacket. He drive him to an ordinary world of himself where he can put on the jacket. So the paradigm of him when he's shifting to understanding the essence of putting a jacket, the movement that he was trained in order how he put a jacket. He was taught that martial arts or a karate is everyday life. Everything that he do is karate, it's martial arts. So that process of him getting used to put on the jacket, the moment when he realized he came back at home, his mom saw him putting on a jacket on the wardrobe and he don't know longer come and put it down. That's an arc. You move from a point where he get enlightened. You move from a point where he was blank to another point. He have a growth to a better within himself. Or we find a character that have a problem with their mental kind, they're psychopath, they have mental state that is not appropriate, and they have to learn themselves and they have to accept and they have to live with themselves. These are the inner motivation. But what are the elements, the characteristics that can make our arc to be more powerful? How can we feel the emotionally engaged here than just to see a kid taking off a jacket and learning to wear it. We can give this motivation in a psychological way, not just by showing it in a mediocre way, even though it can be a hit, it can be well played plot or well played arc of a story or a character. We can develop, we have to learn like the psychology of a person, how they works, how can we make people in a psychological or mental way to become a better person from a lower level state of mental mainstream. So what can happen? We can have a character that they're struggling with themselves or they're having any psychopath experience, and in order to master this character arc, we must understand the language of a film. How can we use language or convey emotion to the people? Then they can feel attached and they can, like, before we can even use, like, we can help the director in a visual medium or in a visual directing, staging and blocking. By when we write, how can you write it to compel, to have like the very solid state of a person to feel hypnotized, to feel taught, to be feel learn, like educated by the film that we watch. So what can we do? We start by a character that they are on their own world that is ordinary, and they get called to an adventure, which is an inciting incident. Then from that inciting incident, they try to get on a special world, on the a world that they have been called to, but their world is very strong, stronger than them. They fail. Then they have to go steps of learning through or learning the process of a new world. So the process that they're learning, in order for them to experiment, in order for them to try new things. You find a bomb. You've been coming from a world of, if you have seen a Breaking Bad, the series, we find like Walter White. How he developed, we find Walter White, he used like the knowledge of experimenting with making new blue drug. So you have to go through the steps of learning, or if you see like his friend Jesse, you have to learn how to go through like the process of a chemistry and the steps that they take. It must be a process. They must have a taste and they have to be early. They should be tested and fail. And then when they're failing, it will compel them to come in a stronger way of how they understand the world. If you fail on something, you have to go and study hard. You have to study and practice, and then you can apply those processes. They're gonna make you to master. But if you wanna put like the character out, that it can really have a meaning to an audience, you must understand that you must have to get in their psychological mind. You must have a relationship with their emotion. You have your character have to have a greater empathy and sympathize with their character. That's why many movies that use a woman and children, they sell, people feel more empathetic and sympathetic to the woman and the children. If you have seen now, you feel more emotional attached to the male character. It's gonna be different from the way you can feel attached to the female character or an animal. But how you can use this element, how you can have a character that is coming from a killing person, and then he goes home and he start watering the flower. These are the tools, like it show you psychological, or these are the different person. Like, well, haven't you wonder why people on Joker have been the most loved characters? That is often a villain in history, a character that has been loved more than a protagonist, antagonist that is loved more than protagonist. These are the breaking of the barrier in writing. You make each and every character to have a certain characteristics. Even though you make them bad, you can give them the characteristics of being lovable. These are the characteristics that they make character to be loved better. So if you wanna compel a better character arc in your character, you must give a don't give a character that is already there in life. Give a character that it's in a real ordinary world. Don't give them any special traits, just like Neo on Matrix. Character arcs of Neo, they are very simple because he's coming from a very, very ordinary world. Then you have to take the between the red and the blue pill. Then you take the pill that makes him to be in another way of the world. Then you have to learn each and every steps of that world. When you see him Neo trying to mastering, jumping the flat, coming with some special power, these are the you have to learn. It's a process to him. You have to learn. When he's learning, we want to see people that are getting better in life. That's life is about us becoming a better people, us becoming learning new experience, reading books so that we gain knowledge. This is how life is. But if we give them all the characters, they already know everything. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be a flat or one-dimensional character. But when you give characters that are having challenges, they are struggling with themselves. They struggle with them in a mental state with themselves more than they struggle with the antagonist on the story. They have to battle more with themselves. When they are in Rome, they're not only worried about the antagonist, they're worrying about solving their own problems. In antagonist, they have problem with antagonists, they have problem with their own family matters. It's used more in form. You find the characters they are fighting. Yeah, make it normal that you find the characters that are having a greater challenges. They have challenges that is bigger than themselves. Challenges that every time when they're coming through, they need a bigger solution for them. They need a greater character arc in order for them to overcome. Give them a goals, a character arc that it will seem so impossible for them to overcome the world that the ordinary world or the special world that they have to overgo through it. Give them a huge world for them to struggle. The fugitive, you find Dr. Campbell is spied. He is set up that he killed his wife. He's a doctor. They close each and every account of his. They take everything that he sees. How much everybody around him, the whole community, who is a well popular doctor, everybody around this world, this environment knows that Dr. Campbell killed his wife. He is a very high risk fugitive that is needed by the police. How can you overcome that world? You're a doctor, you're coming from a world of being a doctor to a world of being a criminal. How can you overcome that situation? These are the great art. They build a world that everybody will love to watch. Give those, not giving a simple world that it's easy for them. Give them three-dimensional characters, three-dimensional world that they're battling with their mind, they're battling with the death of himself, of his wife is dead. He is needed by the police. They're living two of them. The gun that is used, like the world, there's a security. Give them a world that is difficult to overcome. Those world, when you're given those world and you need those character arc, then they're gonna make you interesting of your story. Then you'll find your story, it needs more in order for it to be told. You'll find some more solid way, formula, elements, properties that can give elements of a story that is gonna be high concept, even though it's a low concept. You can find this, it can make your story more interesting by how you're telling it, how you're overcoming the suspense, everything, how it's happening around the world. Just try to find a story with an arc that is not simple to tell. Find a way how can you go through your concept or go through your resolution, and when you reach the climax and then the rising action are going down, or the rising action, the tension is going up. How can you take it up? How can you reach the climax? How can you come the situation? How can you resolve the things? Find an element, give a character, a world that it's a story. Don't give us a boring story that we'll be like. Give a story that everybody will love to watch. you know there's some movies that everybody love to watch. This like there's a great expectation. If you see the Avengers how Endgame was expect like was very anticipated by because how they end up in movie how the whole world like each and every character is been killed. Everybody will love to watch how everybody's gonna resurrect. Like these are even though you're telling a series of a story, if you've watched there's so many movies. There's so many movies. I'll give you a link of the movies that you can watch to see the great character arc of the story or the Shawshank Redemption of how a person, a banker, broker, how they're being arrested in the jail and how they wanna get out of the jail because of the situation that is putting them in the jail. Like, please just check out the description link below and you check the movies that you can learn a lot because you learn more by watching the movies, by learning more of how things are being put on this medium that we're dealing on than just talking about it. Please don't forget to subscribe and check the future content and the film that is gonna refer and you're gonna be aware whether it will make videos talking about dialogue. How can you check the movies that are teaching you great dialogue like Quentin Tarantino movies like